Delicious saffron flatbread with mussels. It doesn't get any healthier than that.
First job, the super easy saffron flatbread.
Put the saffron into the bowl and a couple of teaspoons of hot water. That starts to infuse the saffron, and so you can maximise on the colour across your flatbreads.
To make the dough, simply add plain flour, a pinch of salt and pepper to a bowl, and then pour in a dash of olive oil.
That makes the dough nice and silky and rich. Your saffron water, you'll see how concentrated it is now. And then you'll need cold water.
Then simply knead to bring the dough together.
Mop up all your flour. You can see now the saffron's activated. It's got that really nice colour. Beautiful. Use your wrist and just knead it nicely. What we'll do now is smoothing out the gluten strands. Push and tuck in. Push and tuck in. And each and every time you do this, getting softer, you just sort of form like this perfect, beautiful dough. It smells delicious. That saffron is very powerful. Now, sit that in your bowl, cover it with cling film, let it rest for 10 to 15 minutes.
This relaxes the dough, making it easier to roll and gives it time to infuse with the saffron.
I'm gonna cut that into 3 and then roll them nice and thinly. Now, lightly flour the surface and then just bring that to like a perfect ball on the board. Once you've got that nice ball, your rolling pin, and just roll it out. Now, it doesn't get any simpler than that. And then just lightly flour that on top. And a little salt.
Cooking the flatbread is easy. Just pop in a hot, dry pan and they're ready in minutes.
As it hits the pan, it starts to blister. She's ready for turning. Beautiful. Get that colour on there. Now you want it nice and crisp, almost blistering on both sides. And because it's nice and thin, it's cooked.
Once browned on both sides, just cool on a rack. Flatbread's done. Now onto the mussels.
Now the secret behind cooking great mussels is in the speed you cook them.
The key is to chop and prep your ingredients before you start cooking.
First thing, pancetta. I want it quite chunky. If you can't get pancetta, I always like to use a sort of streaky bacon because I want to sort of render all that flavour out the streaky bacon. Now, tomatoes, garlic and chilli. Cherry tomatoes, they're just going in whole. The garlic, just crush the garlic. So all that flavour comes out. Chilli, I want some heat in here.
That's everything prepped. Now to get it cooked.
A little touch of olive oil. Pancetta in.
Pancetta takes moments. Once it's brown and crisp, put your garlic, chilli and whole cherry tomatoes into the pan.
Mussels go in. Okay.
And I'm using dry sherry. I think it works better in this recipe than white wine, which is classically used at this stage. Then oregano, finely chopped, stalks and all.
Oregano on. And then just give that a little mix. And you'll see those mussels start to open. Lid goes on. You've got to lock in that flavour. Got to lock in that heat.
The mussels will take 4 to 5 minutes to steam. In the meantime, cut your flatbreads into strips.
Crispy and crunchy. Now, the mussels. Wow, that is incredible. My goodness me. Now, that is one lunch I definitely don't want to miss. Healthy and delicious. Doesn't get any better than that. Incredible.
Steamed mussels with saffron flatbreads, made in minutes and packed with protein and vitamins. This is one fast food meal that really is healthy. The great thing about pastry is, if you follow the basic rules, the possibilities are endless. Whether it's simple short crust or flaky phyllo, you just need a bit of practice to get it right. My first recipe uses lovely buttery short crust pastry to make a dish that's as delicious as it is simple. Leek and pancetta quiche.
Short crust pastry is one of the staples of the kitchen. It is so versatile, but the good news is it's one of the easiest pastries to make. Trust me, when you crack it, it can make a real difference to your cooking. Take a sieve. When you think of short crust pastry, it's sort of semi-flaky, but it's rich, buttery.
Start by sifting 200 grams of plain flour into a mixing bowl.
Large pinch of salt. 200 grams of unsalted butter. Bring the butter up to room temperature. If you let the butter become too soft, then the flour sort of doesn't absorb it. In with your fingers, rub together first. Now, the secret is, grab big handfuls and squeeze the butter into the flour. So look what's happened. Literally in 30 seconds, I've got that nice crumbly texture. Now, a couple of tablespoons of water. Nothing worse when the pastry's so wet, you can't bring it together. It needs to shape like a nice, rich cookie dough. It's just a touch too dry. So, one more tablespoon of water. And there you go, it's coming nicely. Now, that's what I want. A nice sort of firm ball of pastry. Onto the board, we're gonna use these, one of the strongest parts of the body. Pull towards you and push back down. Use those wrists to really knead it together. So just that nice sort of smooth texture. Now, wrap it in cling film. Set that in the fridge for 20 minutes. Really important that you let the short crust pastry relax.
Now to make the quiche. You can use just an ordinary flan dish, but I love making them in mini frying pans, which gives them an extra rustic charm. Brush with oil to stop the pastry from sticking. Once the pastry is at room temperature, roll it out to a nice even thickness.
Place it in the center of your little pan. Turn it in. Don't use your fingers, because what we don't want is any holes in this. Just get a little bit of dough, because that sort of acts like a little sort of mallet. Flattens it out nicely. I'm building a sort of extra lip, because that way I can get the filling at its absolute maximum levels. We're gonna cook them blind first.
To blind bake simply means to pre-cook your pastry before adding the filling. This ensures you'll have a fantastic crisp pastry. Add a sheet of foil or baking paper and weigh it down. You can use rice, pulses, or ceramic baking stones. Just make sure you keep them for the next time.
Into the oven, 200 degrees for 10 minutes.
Now for the filling.
I'm gonna do a classic quiche, bacon and leeks. This is an amazing cured pancetta.
Pancetta is an Italian cured meat, made from belly pork seasoned with things like juniper, nutmeg, fennel. A great substitute is unsmoked bacon. As the pancetta gets lovely and crispy, finely slice leeks and add.
Whoa, leeks and bacon, nice. Really important to cook those leeks down. That's exactly what I want. Those leeks are almost sort of caramelized, slightly crispy. The flavor's amazing. I just drain them off, so any excess fat gets drained. A couple of tablespoons of cream. It gives it this really nice richness. I want 2/3 garnish, i.e. bacon and leeks in my quiche, and 1/3 of the savoury custard. Touch of salt, touch of pepper. I'm gonna grate some Gruyere cheese. That makes a really nice sort of creamy, less of an eggy quiche. Take my amazing, crispy pancetta and leeks in. Give that a good mix. Needs one more little thing, some freshness. Flat leaf parsley. Incredible. Really important, just to taste the mixture.
With the quiche filling ready, next, finish off the pastry. Remove the foil and weights and return to the oven to get it lovely and golden all over.
Now, when we fill them, give that a really good mix up. Beautiful.
Grate over some more cheese, which will bubble up and melt beautifully.
And then into the oven.
Bake your quiche for 15 to 20 minutes.
Incredible. But it's got that nice sort of cheese on toast smell from the top. It's sort of baked. But the secret of any good quiche is in the short crust, because that's the hero.
We're creating barbecue-style beef brisket with crunchy coleslaw and sweet potato wedges, which will be right up her street.
Holly! Now, you love barbecues, right?
Yes.
So, you're gonna help me barbecue this delicious piece of brisket. Brisket, look at it, beautiful. It's a very tough cut of meat, so it needs to be cooked slowly so it gets really nice and tender.
Are we barbecuing it outside?
We're gonna actually put the barbecue flavour on there, but we're gonna cook it in the oven. Okay? So, mustard powder. Okay? Here, we have some celery seed. Next, a little bit of salt in there. Okay, what's this here?
Cumin.
2 again. Nice, good. Now, this one.
Cayenne pepper.
You're absolutely right. Right, 2 teaspoons of that in there as well. Good. Now, what I want you to do, fresh pepper on there. I'll give that a little mix. Roll up your little sleeves, and then I want you to rub all that spice into the brisket. Almost like you're massaging it in there. Good girl. Come on, Holes, get your hands nice and flat on there. Good girl. Now that's nice and coated, okay, in the spice. So, gas on, roasting tray on. What we've got to do now with all those spices is sear them in. A couple of tablespoons of olive oil into the tray. Well done.
Very good.
That's getting nice and hot now. You get your brisket, all that spice. Lay that in there nicely. Okay, so now we're gonna start colouring it. As you start to sear in, you smell those spices?
Yep.
All that spice left on the plate, we're gonna use, yeah? I want you to get the onions, nice and carefully, slice them down. Not too thin, but just like you're chopping them. Take your time. Smell all those spices now? Good girl. Thank you.
I'm gonna wash my hands so I can rub my eyes.
Damn, Holly. Was homework that bad?
The onions.
Oh no, don't rub your eyes. Don't rub your eyes. We've got the colour. Look, on the brisket, okay?
Yeah.
Take that out, literally for 30 seconds. Okay? Onions into the tray, please. Nice. You see it's starting to smell slightly barbecuey already. Give that a little stir. Nice. Now, 1 nice tablespoon of brown sugar.
What does the brown sugar do, Dad?
So the brown sugar, you're going to start caramelising the onions. Right, from there, my bay leaves in, please. Good girl.
Whole?
Yes, please. Right, do you want to take over?
Sure.
Good, careful, that tray is very, very hot. A tablespoon of tomato puree. Roast that off at the bottom of the tray. Really rub it in amongst the onions. Good girl. Now, look at the colour of those onions. Right, now, time for a little drink. For the brisket. OK, 1 bottle of beer in, please. So you go in, you put yours in there, I'll put mine here.
Dad!
Good health to you and your brisket. Good health. Bring that to the boil. OK, now this is where it gets really exciting. I want you to lift the brisket up and put it on top of the onions. In she goes. Good girl. And then I want you to pour the stock all the way around, please.
I'm using beef stock, but it will work with chicken stock or even vegetable stock. Once the stock has come to the boil, cover tightly with foil.
You just pinch in the ends, flatten that down, and then you just twist all the way. So that's nice and tight. That's the hard work done.
Thank you.
Simply pop it in the oven for 3.5 hours, and as it cooks, you can get on with the side dishes. First job, sweet potato wedges with some serious flavour. Start by making a spice mix. In a dry pan, toast coriander seeds until beautifully aromatic. Then put them in a pestle and mortar, add salt and grind. Next, smoked paprika, dried oregano, cayenne pepper, and mix. Spice mix done. Now simply cut your sweet potatoes into wedges. Toss in olive oil and thoroughly cover with the spice mix. Onto a baking tray and into a preheated oven for 30 minutes, turning halfway. Irresistible sweet potato wedges are ready. Now to finish off my beef.
See that smell? Just sort of travels everywhere. Oh. Now, look at that. So we can leave that to rest.
What does resting mean?
Resting means where you've cooked a joint and you just leave it to relax, so it'll make the meat so much more tender. Okay? Right, coleslaw. Traditionally, you would mix slaw with what?
Mayonnaise.
That's right, mayonnaise. This time, we're gonna do it a little different. So I'd like you to put the yogurt into the bowl for me, please, all of it. I'll start slicing the white cabbage and the red cabbage. Now, from there, a nice tablespoon of mustard in there, please. Give that a nice mix up. Nice little touch of salt and pepper. Okay. Now, a little cider vinegar. So a little splash of cider vinegar in there, okay? As I shred this,
Yeah.
okay, I'd like you, please, then to get the red cabbage and just open up into that and mix it in at the same time. And then you fold that in there as I start shredding. See how it's coming together?
Yeah.
Right, that's all the red cabbage. Now, for the white. So, you've got that nice vinegary tartness to the slaw, and the yogurt keeps it nice and fresh. Last little bit in. One more little thing. So, we'll put some nice chopped fresh chives in there, and that will give it this nice, light onion flavour. So, chives in. How's that? Now taste it with the chives in there. Delicious. So, I would like you to fill up the bowl. I'm going to very carefully lift out my brisket.
How come it shrunk?
It's been in the oven for nearly 3.5 hours. So it's been cooked slowly. That sits on there. Oh, my goodness me. Let me just show you what this looks like. I'll start slicing it. You'll see how soft. Look at that. And here's the thing about helping Daddy cook. Here's the perk. You get to taste it first before anybody.
That is so good.
That tastes delicious. So you've got all that wonderful flavour in there.
Last job is to create an incredibly quick and delicious sauce. Gas on and reduce the spicy juices and onions the beef cooked in. Then add in cider vinegar and you've got a brilliant tangy barbecue sauce.
That,
Smells nice.
doesn't it? Wow. That is brisket and a half. Now the rest of it can go in the gravy pot. And that's a really nice, rich, spicy barbecue onion gravy. That, my darling, is the perfect way to serve brisket. Right, you ready? If you carry the sweet potato for me, I've got the brisket. Wow. Let's go, darling. Well done, by the way.
Thank you.
This is a real American beauty. Gorgeous, low and slow cooked barbecue beef brisket with sweet potato wedges and yogurt coleslaw.
Megan, Jack.
Coming. Tilly.
big, deep, smoky flavors that bring the taste of the American South to your kitchen.